Hello and welcome to The Actor and the Engineer. My name is Paul James. I am the actor.
My name is Josh Knapp. I'm the broadcast engineer.
Here we go, Josh.
All right. So, got to shake the cobwebs off, don't we?
I know, I'm tired too, so I'm like, oh, okay.
You've also been performing a lot too. So, you're like, this is a different mode. It's not, you're not speaking to the people in the back of the theater. You're just talking right here to me and everybody else listening.
Yeah, just telling your wife off podcast, I'm not doing another play. Not that I want to sound like a selfish brat where I have to talk to the audience. I can't do it anymore. I just want to be on the stage with another scene partner under the lights and they can react.
Yeah.
But I have to talk directly to the audience again. And it can be really taxing. It's been great. I have no complaints. It's just I'm tired. So I'm a little punch drunk.
All right. That's okay though. All right. So what I wanted to talk about today is just kind of like, we're right kind of on the precipice of a lot of big movies, and a couple of film festivals have just kind of happened, and we're starting to hear things back from Toronto International Film Festival and the Venice Film Festival. And I just kind of want to go through a few things and just bring up the movies that I'm excited for, ask what movies you're excited for, and just kind of go through a few of these kind of in the lens of, there's some movies that are coming out that are from filmmakers that, filmmakers / screenwriters that I'm really excited for, based on specifically like one or two of their previous films. And I'm interested to see, what they're going to do with these next ones. So I'll start with a couple of, what I would think would be smaller ones. Although this first one I'll talk about, does star Tom Hanks. It's A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And after seeing the documentary, did you see the documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. It's on a list. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
It's worth seeking out. And definitely like have some tissues next to you. But I'm interested to see the close proximity of this movie, a narrative version of Fred Rogers, but couched in a plot based on a writer. So I'm interested to see that. If it was going to be one of these like biopics, I don't know if that would work or if they could make that really, really work, because you really need a lot of like dynamism in the character himself. And he's really, Fred Rogers has focused on helping other people, and I'm sure I know he had things happen in his life, but it's good that they kind of focused on one individual that he affected. So I think that'll be interesting. It's directed by Marielle Heller, who did Can You Ever Forgive Me? And I wasn't the biggest fan of that movie. I know you liked it, but just from seeing this trailer, it looks interesting to me. What do you think?
No, it does look interesting. I like that in the movie and in the trailer, the lead actor's, I guess, wife / girlfriend, I'm not sure if they're married or not, when she finds out that he's doing an interview with Mr. Rogers, she's like, don't ruin my childhood. Like, don't ruin my... And I feel the exact same way. I'm thinking, where's the conflict? Where is the antagonist, protagonist? And obviously it comes from the life of the interviewer. So I'm interested to see how are you going to take this man who has a reputation as pristine as the actor who's playing him, Tom Hanks. They both have pristine reputations as some of the nicest people in the world. I'm interested to see where the conflict is going to come from, and it's going to be interesting because I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing completely Mr. Rogers in Tom Hanks. I see where they're going with it. It's what you're shaking.
Well,
your head
I don't
no.
think that he's trying to do. I think Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks. He's not going to be able to do Fred Rogers. He's not going to Capote this thing. He's Tom Hanks. He can't be anything but Tom Hanks. Now, that doesn't mean he can't play Sully Sullenberger. That doesn't mean he can't play, real people, but, or, Captain
Forrest
Phillips.
Gump.
Well, Forrest Gump wasn't a real person, but what I'm saying is that we have
it's a character.
We have an affinity for Fred Rogers. We have an identification of Fred Rogers, and he doesn't look like that. So I think that he's trying, especially like with his voice, he's trying to do something that's, well, he's really not changing his voice that much. He may be adjusting the register in which he's working, but that's about it. And maybe like a lilt in his voice a little bit, but it's really not anything close to, trying to exactly mimic the, you know, everything that is Fred Rogers. So I mean, I think that'll be. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch it in the theater, but I think it will be a great rental. I think it'll be, of course, it'll be a great performance by Tom Hanks, but that's pretty much what we can expect from him. So, have you heard of this movie Dolomite Is My Name, by directed by Craig Brewer, but it stars Eddie Murphy in kind of like what's supposed to be another big starring role with a bunch of cast of characters supporting too. So, do you know? Have we talked about any of Craig Brewer's movies?
No, and the only thing I know about this movie is that it is slotted to be what they're calling Eddie Murphy's comeback,
Mm,
where I don't know exactly where he went, but
mm,
you know, when you're as big as Eddie Murphy, it's kind of hard to just come back because you are Eddie
yeah.
Murphy and you've done your due. And so I guess maybe because he hasn't been around in a while and hasn't had a big blockbuster hit in a while. So maybe that's what they mean. But yeah, I just saw an article about it and I didn't want to read much about it. So I don't really know anything that much about it.
Have you seen the trailer?
No.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because he's got this "Dolomite Is My Name" coming out this year, and then they're already making "Coming to America," but it's coming #2 America. So, and everybody's back in that. Wesley Snipes is in that. Wesley Snipes is also in "Dolomite Is My Name." So yeah, I don't think that. I mean, I don't think that he's done really anything big since Tower Heist that's like been in the main consciousness, and that was just like a kind of a popcorn movie in 2011. He started in Mr. Church, but I never saw that. I did think maybe I saw the trailer for that back in 2016, but he's kind of been under the radar since then. So yeah, I I don't know. I think that it's interesting looking just from a, you know, from a film lover point of view, seeing blaxploitation, you know, the background of blaxploitation and how it, you know, it's interesting that they have to, how they get this movie made, and what they have to do to get this particular guy, Rudy Ray Moore, is that his name? What they do to get this particular guy to star in their film. So I don't know. I think it'll be fun. So yeah, but that one looks interesting to me. And
Well, I just looked up Craig Brewer to see who this guy was.
oh
He
yeah,
directed Hustle and Flow. I'm
and
in.
Black Snake Moan. So that's why I brought it up,
Yeah, which
because
I liked a lot. I
yes,
really liked that movie.
yeah, I loved both of those movies, but that's why I brought it up, because I haven't heard much from him since then. But you bring in Eddie Murphy, who you know you can get a great performance from, plus Craig Brewer, you know, who I haven't seen in a while. So I'm just, I want to see what they can make and how much like winking to the camera they're gonna do, or if they're gonna try to do something that's a little bit more, you know, that has some kind of heart in it, even though the trailer looks funny. So you know, we'll see what the focus is there. All right, let's move on to Ford versus Ferrari. James Mangold's directing, so he did Logan and Wolverine and Walk the Line. This is a movie starring Matt Damon and, you know, Christian Bale. It is, you know, it's kind of like a right down the middle Hollywood movie. But looking at the trailer, I mean, this looks like a fun movie to see in the theater. So and you know, he did 3:10 to Yuma too, which, going back on, I think you told me to kind of go back on. I think I rewatched that right around the time that we talked about, we had our falling out over what's the water one, Hell or High Water, and and so I was like, I want to see if I can find a more, you know, like another, like a
Let me
western
just
that's
stop
kinda,
you for just a split second. I love how you call it a falling out. I
oh, I'm
am the
playing it up.
drama major, and I know, but I just love how you call it. Like, can you imagine somebody listening to us? We're like two of the nicest guys in the world talking about movies, and you're like the falling out. It's I love your descriptions for the movies too. You're like, round one begins, ding ding, and it's like, okay, all right. I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
You're playing it up.
But yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't know. Looking at the trailer, and I mean, it's even got like Tracy Letts in it, who's in a bunch of movies this year again. So yeah, Tracy Letts plays one of the Ford sons or something. I mean, like one of the CEO of Ford or something. But yeah, I mean, just the concept in the movie, trying to make a car that's gonna compete against Ferrari in 6 weeks or whatever it is. I don't know. I like that kind of a conceit in a movie where it seems like impossible odds, and you just get to play in that world for that small amount of time. So that looks like a lot of fun to me.
Plus, when you match somebody like Christian Bale and Matt Damon, it literally bodes well for the title of the movie. It's, who's the Ford, who's the Ferrari?
Oh,
They're both Ferraris in my
oh, I
opinion.
see what you're
You know
saying.
what I mean? Like, yeah, but it's just they are two high caliber actors. And so it's always interesting when you put them in the mix together because you're never sure. Sometimes people just don't have chemistry, and that's nothing to do with talent. It's just the way that it works.
Mm.
But I can't imagine it not being interesting just to see those two types in a movie together. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't. I guess they've never been in a movie together. Yeah, they've never been in a movie together. So, and it looks like they've got a good amount of scenes together. It may not be as many as they let on in the trailer, but I mean, they'll make use of the time they have on screen together. We already kind of talked about Honey Boy, which is just kind of like I don't even know if that's going to be shown a lot of places, but I will say that Steph and I watched Peanut Butter Falcon over the weekend, and it was a good time at the movies, and it was something that I think we're starting to see now, which is kind of I don't know what it is, but Peanut Butter Falcon shows the moviegoer, I think, how people can share love with each other and can get each other kind of and get people focused on the right things and help them to forget about the worthless things. And it's all based on the attitude and the actions of the main character, Zach, played by Zach Gottsagen. But all that being said, Shia LaBeouf puts in a really good performance. And once again, you can kind of expect him to put in a performance when he's got some meat on the script. But yeah, he's I don't know. It seems like he surprises me every time, but then afterwards I'm kind of like, well, but he's good though. I mean, I don't know why I get surprised. Maybe just it must just be his off-air antics or off-screen antics that kind of push him down for me. Just like, why can't you just like put your head down and make movies?
Well, apparently Honey Boy explains some of that stuff
Okay.
because apparently his parents and or his father, I don't know anything about the movie. I can't wait to see the movie. I can't wait to see the Peanut Butter Falcon. I'm surprised I haven't seen it by now. It's just time is limited right now.
You'll like it.
And yeah, I'm sure. I've had a couple of people who I really value their opinion have said, Shia LaBeouf, and I kept saying it years ago. It's just, it takes a little while, and some people get polluted by people's reputations, and it happened to Robert Downey Jr. It happened to Drew Barrymore. It takes a little while to recover from things, even though actually what Robert Downey Jr. actually did in real life is way crazier than anything we've heard so far that Shia LaBeouf has done. But I guess in this Twitter universe, in this social media universe, when you urinate at a Broadway show and not in the bathroom, people are going to hear about it very quickly. And I'm not exactly sure that's what he did, but something along the lines of that happened. And it's a shame because it does filter into people's opinions about them and it does make it harder for people to see what they're doing in their work. I've just never had that issue. I guess maybe because I've been around actors and they're all kind of crazy in some kind of way. I'm not discluding myself. Just there's these idiosyncrasies that you just have to look over because maybe that's what it takes to let that vibe come through you and that stuff come out of you. Maybe it takes a little bit of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to do that kind of stuff. But I am just happy that he is looking like he's been through rehab and he's on that side of being out of rehab and that he has projects that people are taking to. And, they're talking Oscar nomination for Honey Boy. I'm just saying. So it's nice that maybe with a clearer mind, whatever that may be for him, that he can start appreciating what people are seeing in him and just get past all of the, because he was still young when he was flipping out. And so, Justin Bieber peed in a mop bucket on somebody's phone. So, people are young. They got a lot of money. They got a lot of fame. It must be hard to balance that creative nature with that. Not everybody can just put their head down to the stone, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's just not possible because people are just freaking crazy. And that energy must be crazy. But anyway, I'm just glad that he is now coming on the other side of that. Hopefully he's just past that point where, he has to do all that stuff because he's already done all that stuff and now it can be about his work. So yeah, I'm excited about those two movies.
Oh, that's great. We could talk about The Irishman. That's Martin Scorsese's new film, which will come out in theaters like November 1st, I think. And then right around Thanksgiving time, it's going to be available on Netflix. Is this a movie have you seen the trailer for The Irishman?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a movie that you would actually go out and watch in the theater knowing that Netflix it's going to be there for you on Thanksgiving?
A good question. Oh, that's a good question.
Sub question. The answer, is it because of the subject matter of the movie or because of the release setup of the movie?
Okay. So I think if I had the time and the money, I would see it in the theater because it's Scorsese. Mm-hmm. Duh. But if the time and the money doesn't allow me to, and the not anxiety, but the anxiousness to wanting to see it comes before I can get to the theater to pay it, then I'll watch it on Netflix. But I don't think I would always want to see something on the big screen, no matter what the film was or how it was released. Like I wonder what like The Beasts of No Nation was like on the big screen. We won't know. Maybe we will one day. We were talking about Lawrence of Arabia and seeing that on the big screen. Unforgiven that you had never seen. Can you imagine seeing it on the big screen? That opening shot. I mean, it's a different experience. So yes, I will, if I have time and money, see it on the big screen. But if not, it's only because of time or money, and really time, because money always seems to find its way to me when I need to see stuff. I'm fortunate that way. But like the anxiety of wanting to see it, and I haven't seen it yet, and it comes on Netflix. Yeah, I probably can't stop myself from watching it. So does that answer the question?
Yeah. Well, and I guess the next question would be like, would there be a different answer if this movie was not about the mob in Chicago in whatever year it is? I mean, if it was something that was, I guess pick any other movie in this list. If it was that movie and it was also going to come out like within the month on Netflix, would you still like make the time? Like no chance you would miss it.
Okay, if we're talking about a perfect scenario where time and money wasn't inhibiting me, then yes, I would see it on the big screen. I don't care what it is or what size of a film it is. I think the reason why this movie needs to be seen immediately might not have to do with the scenery. It might have to do with Pacino, Pesci, and De Niro in a Scorsese film for the first time ever. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how great this might be.
And for me, Scorsese deciding to de-age them for a good portion of the movie, that's what I'm really interested in. And I want to see what that looks like in a theater with all the money thrown at it, because in the past we've seen things like this happen. I mean, we've seen Carrie Fisher not look so hot. We've seen all of these kind of like head replacement type things that don't go well. And really that's kind of what I think that's kind of what they're going to be end up doing, is they're going to have a reference of a living person that they can go back and, kind of roll back the ages on their skin, on their face, things like that. Their hands, I would think they would do things like that to make them look younger. But I want to see if it reaches into the uncanny valley of this doesn't look right, or, their mouth opening is weird, or their eyelids don't look right. There's all kinds of things that we may not be able to perceive, especially if you're watching it on a 32-inch TV in your living room. It's just all, that can kind of cover over all sins of CGI, whereas you're up on a huge screen and you're right there in front of it. It's gonna pop right out. So this could be a portion of the future of film. They could remake Raging Bull with Robert De Niro tomorrow and redo every single scene, and he could look exactly the same.
Yeah, that makes me nervous. Just the thought of that, it's unnecessary. Okay, let me backtrack. Okay, first of all, Anna Paquin, Jesse Plemons, Bobby Cannavale, they're all in the movie. Harvey Keitel. So
that's awesome.
It's not just because of the top three.
Yeah.
That cast is amazing. Okay, so we've seen Michael Douglas de-aged in a comic book movie. Did we accept that de-aging because it was so good, or because we gave it a little bit of a leeway because it's in a comic book movie? My answer is it was done really well.
Yeah.
So I bought into it. I just hope, and okay, I'll get to that in just a second. I just hope that it doesn't become about a scene about de-aging these people. What's important in the scene has to be other than just them looking younger. And I'm sure, knowing through his films, Scorsese has, and I think I'm saying that wrong, by the way. I've heard so many different pronunciations. Anyway, that's what I'm sticking with. It will be about something that's important to the story. That's why he decided to do what he had to do with de-aging them. It's not just because he can. Third of all, you had said that just a few seconds ago that when you're looking at on a 32-inch TV that it's more unforgiving than it is on the big screen. I actually think CGI looks faker on the small screen than it does on the big screen, like Avatar. When I saw Avatar in the movie theater, I thought Pandora was a real place. Like, there was nothing fake looking about it. And then I saw it on somebody's high def TV and I thought, oh, it looks like a cartoon. It looks different on the smaller screen than it does on the bigger screen.
Most people probably have their TVs set up incorrectly, where the TV's in retail, what they call retail mode, where the brightness is cranked up and the color saturation is cranked, and they've got motion smoothing on there. So any kind of like lateral motion across the screen or any panning across the screen, instead of having the natural, like what they would call film judder, where there's a little bit of a shakiness. It's not a physical shakiness, but it's just a perceptual shakiness to that, or a car driving across the screen, something like that. The movies are shot in 24 frames a second, but what a television will do, or what it can do, is it can say, like, I'm drawing these pictures onto the screen once every 60th of a second. So I'm drawing 60 pictures on the screen every second, but the film is only giving me 24 pictures every second. So I've got to fill in the rest of those pictures. I got to fill in the 36 pictures that are missing. So what it does is it interpolates a frame in between the two film frames. And by doing that, it gives you this kind of unnatural motion, especially when you have things that are moving in the foreground and things that are moving in the background. It looks like they're moving irrespective of each other. It doesn't look natural. So there's all kinds of things that, in fact, filmmakers nowadays are I just saw a little YouTube video where you've got Rian Johnson and Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese and all these people saying, use this particular mode on your television. New televisions are going to be coming out with something called filmmaker mode. It's just one button, you hit it, and whenever you watch a movie, if you set it to filmmaker mode, it turns off all of that junk. And it adjusts the brightness, it adjusts the color saturation to a preset level that is industry standard. And that's what filmmakers want you to watch it as, and that's what you should be watching it as, in my opinion. And I think that it looks more natural. It looks a lot closer to what you would see in a movie theater. And so those are probably the things that you're seeing, a combination of all of those things that make it look, I mean, any like Pandora, those scenes with the trees and all the, the little sprites coming down from the trees. I mean, yeah, that's going to look super unnatural if the color saturation is cranked way up. Those bright things are just going to be like blooming like crazy, and it's not going to look as natural as it did on screen, because James Cameron and his editors and his color correction engineers, they determined the right saturation for all those things, and it all gets thrown out the window once somebody puts a Blu-ray into the device and starts playing it, or once they queue it up on Netflix. It gets all screwed up. So hopefully people will pay attention to that, but maybe not. But it's weird that you get a perception of that, and it's probably technology based as opposed to the size of the TV. I don't think the size has anything to do with it. It's it's all the other stuff.
So what you're saying is that if the CGI effect is done really well and the TV is set the way that Josh wants it to be set,
yes,
then it will look as natural as it does on the big screen. So if it looks real on the big screen, then with all of these determining factors, it will look good on TV. So let me ask you this. When they do made for TV stuff, like American Horror Story does some de-aging with Jessica Lange, and it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like, it's bizarro. But it's always, I've been rewatching some of it, because I have a little bit of an obsession with that show. Right before it comes out for the new season, I like to rewatch a lot of the stuff, and I guess it's just my go-to type of stuff, which sounds like I'm a weirdo, but it it's it's something I'm intrigued by, so I like to watch it more than once. And I've noticed that she's not like primarily in the shot for too long, or, the scene is not that long, or she walks through, or you see the de-aging and then it goes on to something else. So it's not like she spends the whole entire episode, full frontal, up close facial, de-aging techniques being used, but is the same technique that is used in movies used in TV shows too, or is
Yes.
it different?
It's all the same. It's probably the same
They do a good
company.
job on that show.
Yeah, there's a company called Lola
Yeah.
that does all of those kind of like facial de-aging or facial replacements, and they do an amazing job, and they've gotten so much better over the years. I mean, just looking at Rogue One to now, it's huge. The difference is amazing. But that's just they're gonna get better, and it's gonna get to a certain point where we're not even talking about it, but we're still talking about it. So, all right. So here, I'm gonna talk about a couple. Well, I'm not even gonna talk about them. I'm gonna bring up a couple movies that I'm not even that excited to see. Lucy in the Sky with directed by Noah Hawley, starring John Hamm and Natalie Portman, sporting a Southern accent, and I think that what's his name, Dan Stevens from Downton Abbey, is her husband. So it's based on a true story, but it's an astronaut who falls in love with another astronaut. She's already married, and then craziness ensues. I don't know. I saw the trailer, but it's not that engaging to me, and I don't know why, because it's a space movie and all that stuff. But it feels like it's lacking something. And I do like Noah Hawley. He's kind of created the Fargo mini series, the limited series that they've been making on FX, with the Coen brothers blessing, and I love that. He also did Legion on FX, but I haven't really gotten too much into that. I watched a couple episodes, but haven't gotten too much of that. It's based on a Marvel entity, so yeah, I don't know. It didn't light me up. And same thing with Gemini Man, which is an Ang Lee movie.
That's the only thing that makes me interested in that.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. The fact that I was not expecting to see Ang Lee's name connected to that. When I saw it, I went, oh, well, this makes sense on some level, because this has nothing to do with anything else Ang Lee has ever done, which is his pattern. Nothing. So that makes it warranted. And speaking of de-aging that pulled me out, I don't know if it's the way that they're making Will Smith look younger, or if I don't know, there's something odd about it. It doesn't look
not right.
100%. And maybe because he's in the same shot as that guy, I don't know. There's something just feels weird to me.
And I feel like they're going to lean more on the de-aged Will Smith in this movie, in Gemini Man, than they will on the de-aged characters in Irishman. I think it's probably going to be used more tastefully in The Irishman than in Gemini Man, but I could be proven wrong for both. I'm much more likely to go see The Irishman in the theater than Gemini Man. Okay, now it's Scarlett Johansson corner, because she is in two movies that I'm very interested in seeing. One is Noah Baumbach's movie Marriage Story with Adam Driver, and who's in like 3 or 4 movies. I don't know how many movies he was in this year. I think it's probably like 5. But he's just been in a lot of movies, and we've already talked to him about him this year. But we can get to him in a second, I guess. But Scarlett Johansson is making choices that, I mean, she's always made really great choices, in my opinion, as far as like movies that she wants to do. But even with, you got Black Widow coming up, and that's going to be a starring role for her, and she's in the meantime just churning away at these. Marriage Story is it looks like a very small film, a very emotionally intense film, and it looks like an uncomfortable film, but it also looks like it is coming from an angle of love as opposed to an angle of hate or of disgust. And even though it's called Marriage Story, it's about 2 people who are getting a divorce. And the 2 trailers, the kind of like his and hers trailers with that, just made me, I was like, first of all, I hadn't heard about it, but then I saw those trailers and I'm like, dang, looks so good. The way that those trailers work together, and then the way that they bring up how you can see how this couple loved each other and probably still loves each other, but they feel like they have to not be together anymore. So I want to see what all of that has. Plus, they have a kid or kids. I can't remember, but how all of that shakes out, especially with those two amazing actors. And then also she is in another film that is coming out, I think, next month. Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, I think it's in October. And everybody was like, "Oh, the Jojo Rabbit trailer was amazing. The second trailer was amazing." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna try to not watch it." But when we were at the theater over the weekend, it came on, so I watched it. And yeah, it's a really good trailer. I mean, the teaser trailer was fun, but this trailer was just the theatrical trailer, the full-length theatrical trailer was really good to give you a good idea what the film is without, hopefully without giving away too many gags. But you also get to see Scarlett Johansson in there, along with Taika Waititi and Sam Rockwell in what looks to be kind of a fun little thing. Talk about people who are making good choices in films. Like that's, dude's got an Oscar and he's, firing guns around, between his legs and, playing it up as an SS soldier. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. So what did you think about those two?
October 18th is Jojo Rabbit.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I find it intriguing because you're Jojo Rabbit is tiptoeing on subjects that the tone of the trailer makes it look like a comedy, obviously, but it's tiptoeing on a subject that, you don't see made into a comedy very often. But I mean, if anybody can do it, if anybody can direct something like this, Waititi is the man. I mean, he's just got this strange disposition, and I love it when somebody who is this mainstream actress, Scarlett Johansson, and all of a sudden we forget all of the kind of strange things that she's done in her past. Her Ghost World. I mean, you can go back.
Lost in
Translation, which was really odd at the time. Now it's, many people have seen it, so it's considered mainstream. Even though it became mainstream, it's still just a left of center film. So it's not like she hasn't done this before. And they're talking about Oscar nomination for Marriage Story for both of them. And it's long overdue for Scarlett Johansson. There's been many movies she could have been tapped in to an Oscar nomination. She just has never made the top five, if you will. Yeah. And they're talking about a Best Actor nomination for Adam Driver. They're talking about him being the front runner, him being nominated last year, and then the momentum of that pushing him into possibly winning an Oscar. People are going crazy over this guy, as well they should. So yeah, those are, when you see the trailer or the trailers for Marriage Story, you're like, it seems so nice and sweet, kind and loving, and then you're like, oh, it's a relationship movie. No wonder it's gonna be so effed up. I can't deal with it. Like, oh, but it looks like you're going to learn something about who you are in your relationships, and that to me is an important subject, regardless of what happened with these two people or what will happen with these two people. Because the first trailer is like they love each other, or she's talking about loving him, and in the second trailer he's talking about loving her, but the second trailer is more about them not getting along than the first trailer. And although that's there in the first trailer, you're thinking, oh, is this a breakup story? I can't do a breakup story right now. I'm thinking to myself, I just can't do it. But when you put it in the hands of these two actors, their history of what they've chosen to do so far will dictate to me that the quality of the film or the quality of the screenplay makes it worth me having anxiety about a relationship film. I don't want to learn nothing about myself in relationships right now. I don't want to do it. I don't even want to even think about it, So maybe it'll be cathartic to see a movie instead of having to deal with one, because that's where I'm at in my life. So yeah, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong.
Yeah, and as far as Adam Driver is concerned, he's also in a movie called The Report that's going to come out later on, directed and written by Scott C. Burns, and that's just about investigating the CIA's kind of detention and interrogation program and torture and all that stuff. And, he's kind of like, I guess, a dogged Senate staffer who just doesn't give up. And so that I've heard good things about that too. So I'm all in for both of those. Scarlett Johansson films. Then there's the new Destin Daniel Cretton movie, Just Mercy. Now, we talked about him fairly recently when we talked about Short Term 12. That was another movie that I kind of didn't watch until very recently. But seeing his hand as a director and as a writer on that, I'm interested in anything else that he does from now on. And he's also set up to direct Shang-Chi, the Marvel movie. So this is kind of like which is funny because it's got like, how many Marvel people does it have in it? I think Just Mercy's got Brie Larson and Michael B. Jordan. So that's, he's got two Marvel people in it, and he's obviously got a relationship with Brie Larson. I think she's been in like all of his movies. But yeah, it's this one is about it's about I don't know if he's a public defender or he's just a defense attorney who's defending someone who is condemned to death row, and then he is trying to help him to get free for something that he was charged for years and years and years ago. So and it's in the South, and so it'll be interesting. I seeing the trailer, I don't know, the trailer kind of got me, like I was just kind of like okay, like I want to see what is going to be the extra twist or the extra piece to this that's going to lock in and make it more engaging. But from the trailer, it just seemed like kind of like a straight ahead type of a film. So, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but with a lot of these other movies we're talking about, there's some element that gets its hooks into me and makes me want to go out and watch it. And this one just seems like it's more like straight down the line.
Well, if you're talking about making choices and what the director decides to do, if you had told me the plot of Short Term 12 before I saw it, I would have been like, I can't watch another Lifetime movie about a group home. Yeah. I can't do it. I can't do it. But it's so not that. It's so much more than that. And this Just Mercy, the trailer I just saw, it does look like a hurricane save the guy from death row type film. It does look like a better quality Lifetime film. And I don't mean to put anything down by saying it's Lifetime film and or put any Lifetime film down. It's just, it's a quality that those films come across as. They're very melodramatic and they appeal to a mass amount of people, which is not a bad thing. I'm just saying that for me, I was not as engaged by that trailer, even though, Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, who is another superhero character or villain, not Marvel, but still almost there. And, O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s in it. And there's just this cast of people who I love as actors. And there's sometimes when, regardless of what a trailer is, there's a faith that goes behind these people. And I don't necessarily say, I'm going to go see these movies because these actors are in it, like Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks or that kind of stuff, even though they are as big as they are, because people do go see movies just because their names are attached to the films. I'm just not that type of person, but I am intrigued by this combination of people and this director. So I can't say I'm going to see it in the theater because of time and money. But if I do, I'm hoping that it becomes more than the sum total of what it looked like in the trailer. Yeah. Because in the trailer, it was just like, oh yeah, if it was just nobody knew in that trailer, I probably wouldn't have thought twice about that movie. Yeah. But because it's Academy Award winner, soon to be Academy Award nominee, Michael B. Jordan, I'm not saying for anything in particular. I'm just saying he's
going to happen.
One of those guys who's, it's just one of those guys. He's just one of those guys. He's proven over and over and over again he can act. And so I have faith in it. But, if there's a lineup of 5 other different films and this is one of the 5 and I have money for 4.
Yeah. All right. That's the one that gets cut.
All the time and all the money, I would go, but I don't. So that's that.
I'm going to tell Destin Daniel Cretton that you're not going to his movie.
Yeah, I know.
So there you go.
Well, wait, let me say this. If my dad sees the trailer, he'll want to see it.
Oh, okay.
He'll be like, oh, let's go to, because he likes that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
He likes those courtroom drama things. And and then he'll see Brie Larson and be like, who's that?
Hello. So
right, exactly.
I don't think we've talked about Bong Joon-ho before, but he's a Korean filmmaker who his first movie that I ever saw of his was The Host, which was a really great kind of monster movie, Korean, monster movie, but just in general, it's a good monster movie. And he's made Snowpiercer and Okja most recently that came out on Netflix. Now, I did see Snowpiercer, but I have not seen Okja. But his new film Parasite won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. So, I mean, that right there. I was kind of like, whoa, okay, all right. And then seeing the trailer, like I think I just saw the teaser trailer. I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I don't know exactly what's going on, but it looks cool enough and just like sharply, effective to where I I get an aura from the movie, and that's enough. And so I'm all in on Parasite. So I think that'll be interesting to see, and just seeing what he's done with Snowpiercer and with The Host. I mean, all of those have kind of like supernaturally type things going on, or future, dystopian type future type things going on, which I'm definitely down for, movies that dig into that. So yeah, I'm excited about that one. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I actually have heard a lot about it, and I'm just now looking the director up now because I don't really know anything. I'm seeing all of these films that people have talked about for years, and now I'm going, oh yeah, I should have seen The Host. Oh yeah, I should have continued watching Snowpiercer, because I didn't. I started watching it, and I usually don't do that. I usually always go back to a film, but for some reason, I never went back to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna. I keep hearing about Parasite, and I keep hearing about certain films that, because of things like Yorgos Lanthimos' stuff, The Favorite and The Lobster and Dogtooth all being nominated, now it seems like that glass ceiling has been broken where, it doesn't matter that the subject matter is this, or it doesn't matter that the director hasn't been around and been nominated before and nobody knows his name. It doesn't matter anymore
Mm-hmm.
because these things have been nominated and now it's done. So
Yeah.
yeah, I keep hearing things about that. I keep hearing things about, something we've already talked about, The Farewell. I keep hearing about these new directors, or directors that are not traditionally thought of as Oscar nominees, now being thought of that way. So yeah, it should be interesting. So I guess I'm going to have to start backwards. I guess I'm going to have to
Yeah.
start with Parasite and go backwards. So
That's
we'll
fine.
see.
Well, that's fine. I do know that like Snowpiercer has a performance from Tilda Swinton, which is like, I can only describe it as scene chewing, but it's still good. Like I don't there's a handful of people I think that can chew scenery, but and get away with it, and she's one of them.
Doesn't she have some big prosthetic teeth in her
She
mouth?
does. She went through that because remember, wasn't it in oh geez, the Terry Gilliam movie Zero something zero crap, Christoph Waltz. That's how memorable it is, and it's Terry Gilliam. Dang it, Zero Theorem. She was in that for like a handful, like a couple scenes, and similar thing, weird accent and chomper teeth, and whatever. So
Well, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to be that
I
person.
guess
So
you gotta put it out there. Next one I wanted to talk about was Knives Out, Ryan Johnson's new movie. I heard about this a long time ago that he was making it, and then seeing the trailer, everybody looks like they're having an amazing time, and I'm just fine being in the room with them. So that's that. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I liked Brothers Bloom. I know a lot of people didn't like Brothers Bloom, but Brothers Bloom seems to be a similar thing, similar feeling to this, where it's just kind of like there's a gimmick, you just let it play out, and it looks fun. So, and it's a well done trailer with a Sinatra song in there that is memorable. So I don't know. I liked it.
Toni Collette
Mm.
in the same movie as Jamie Lee Curtis, in the same movie as Don Johnson, in the same movie as Chris Evans, is the same movie as Daniel Craig. What?
Keith
So-
Stanfield.
Yeah, right. Like what? Love it.
I know.
There are certain movies in my history of going to movies that I just went to because the cast was so unusually put together that I thought I have to see it just because. A lot of these films don't work, but the one that immediately comes to mind is The Witches of Eastwick. Now it's an old film and people say, "Oh, well they're used to that now." But at the time, Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer and Cher and Jack Nicholson in the same movie together, which one of these don't go with the other? Like you could see Jack Nicholson and Susan Sarandon in a movie together, and you can see Susan Sarandon and Michelle Pfeiffer in a movie together, but can you see Cher in the same movie? What? Cher and Jack Nicholson maybe in the same movie together, but with Susan, it was a bizarre combination. I don't think the movie works overall. I enjoy that film. I don't have problems with that film like most people do, but it doesn't completely work. But the idea of those people being put into a movie together was fascinating to me. So, Ryan Johnson's got my heart, and
Mm.
he's gotten a lot of slack in the last couple of years, and now people are kind of letting up on him, and they're kind of seeing through what they thought he should have made as the Star Wars film, and they're kind of giving him a break now, and it has a lot to do with reviews for Knives Out being so great, and now people are going, "Oh, he really can make a movie. Why were we giving this guy such a hard time?" And now they're kind of getting past it, which I think I mentioned a while ago, but who knows? I just think that this guy can make a movie, and he's got a different vision to something that's been done a million times before, literally. And sometimes when people have new visions to stuff that we're so used to, we don't cut them a break. And then 25 years from now, we go, he was a visionary. What were we thinking? Or we don't admit to that. We just say he's a visionary and say, oh, I loved it back then. Yeah, I thought it was great. No, you didn't. So Jamie Lee Curtis, Tony Collette, I'm in,
Yeah.
it's
That's going to be
it's a
fun.
who done it. And I like those movies, all of those Agatha Christie's type things. I like those kind of movies. And they're saying this one really is good because it twists and turns in a way that you're not expecting it. So I'm all in with it.
Yeah, me too. So you can check us out on the web at actorandengineer.com. You can go to facebook.com/actorandengineer, and you can tweet us at actorengineer. We'll see you next time.